candidates drew Scrabble tiles to see who would go first, a completely fair system.
My name is Faris Farassati. I am the councilman for the last 4 years. I had the pleasure of serving you. I'm also a cancer scientist at the Kansas City Veterans Affairs. I have been with you in your neighborhoods during the last 4 years, from Arboretum to Heritage Park, from everywhere that you needed me. I have been with you, sharing your hopes, representing you, and I will continue to do that. My priorities are your priorities. I work for you and only for you, and I will redirect your tax dollars back to you from the pocket of billion-dollar developers. We have to be aware of the challenges that comes to our beautiful city. We have to be fiscally responsible. When you wanted me to support your first responders, I was there. When you wanted me to vote no on Highway 69, I represented you. My promise to you is a logical, evidence-based government that delivers your priorities and only your priorities, without indoctrination, without partisan politics. Thank you very much.
And let's start with a topic that has been in the news a lot recently. The plan to add express toll lanes on US 69 highway between 103rd and 151st Streets is now poised to go forward. 2 state-level bodies recently signed off on a plan already approved by the City Council that would have Overland Park kick in $20 million towards KDOT's roughly $300 million project to add the toll lanes going in both directions. Work could begin as soon as next year. That stretch of US 69 in Overland Park is the busiest highway in Kansas, according to the state. It's only expected to get more congested as the city's southern half grows. So in your opinion, is the cost-sharing deal struck with KDOT the best way to fund an expansion of US 69? If so, why? But if you don't think so, what is the best alternative? So, Councilmember Farassati.
Thank you very much. There is a myth that we needed to put $20 million in. I propose to you that according to KDOT, we didn't. We could have simply walked away, and that would have only moved the needle on the first phase of this project, but with a year and a half. We should have just said no, and it's not a good deal for the people of Overland Park. You heard me in the media when I said, great deal for the state, bad deal for the people of Overland Park. So the myth is that we needed to put money in it. We did not. It's released by KDOT. We could have walked away. Highway 69 is the worst highway, #1 priority of the state of Kansas. We got a bad deal. Let's say we were forced to it. We could have done a number of other mechanisms. Efficiencies in the budget. American Rescue Act is sending money our way. We didn't even wait to see what other options are going to be there. Bad research project, bad data delivers bad results. 1/8 sales tax, we have a definition problem. We could have solved that. We could have put money into it from there. The increase in excise fee. And these are things I learned from you guys. I didn't develop these ideas in vacuum. People of Overland Park gave me these ideas. Bad research project, a bad conclusion, a toll on the back of the people of Overland Park against their will. I voted no. Thank you.
Faris Farassati. The city's use of tax incentives to attract businesses and spur development has been the focus of intense debate in Overland Park in recent years. Most recently, the City Council approved an amended proposal for the Blue Hawk development near 159th and US 69 that decreases the city's ask for state star bonds from $77 to $71 million, but still state star bonds a big part of that project. Beyond Blue Hawk, beyond that particular project, what's your general view on the use of tax incentives for development purposes? When are they appropriate to use, and are there any tax incentive tools that you believe should never be used?
Faris cannot answer to you. Lincoln Institute and Professor David Merriman can answer to you. Tax incentives were generated in California for removal of the blight, removal of the deteriorated neighborhoods. That's the only legitimate use of tax incentives. Any other tax incentives is waste of your money, takes the money out of your schools, parks, libraries, first responders. And that is, in my opinion, not in harmony with the fiduciary duty of an elected official. I have been on that track since day one. Overland Park does not have blight. In one case that it did have blight, I approved the tax incentive. The rest of it is simply waste of money. there is absolutely no reason to hand over $500 million of your taxes to a bunch of luxury, unaffordable establishments. There is no reason to give $230 billion to development of a golf course. And that's the end of it. Any other justification is irrelevant, not proven by science, not proven by data, as you can see. It's not the position that I have, it's a position that the science and the research will tell you. The only time you want to give tax incentives as it was originated is blight. The rest of it is hijacking this mechanism, and the other cities have stopped using it. I cannot, in good conscience, hand over your tax dollars to billion-dollar corporations out of the pocket of the public schools when they are asking for money. Libraries. Your first responders. In the middle of pandemic, we had our first responders compensation cut. And at the same time, we handed over $6 million tax incentives to a $30 billion company to make a luxury rental. Who would in good conscience authorize that? And where is it going to go? Our reserve funds, if you compare it to the year 2008, is less. We are like a family with hers. The paycheck and the saving account is going down, and then you end up with chip seal and the rest of the issue. Bad idea, not evidence-based.
Overland Park consistently ranks in the top 10 cities nationally as the best place to live, best place to retire, best place to raise a family, best place to start a business. You could go on. Citizen surveys consistently show citizen satisfaction to be 90% and higher. So how important is it to consider that and the policies and practices and governance that has led to those recognitions when examining whether any changes you're advocating should be made, and what are the potential unintended consequences of some of your proposals?
So let's just put it like this, folks. We have a status quo, a system that maybe was applicable when Overland Park was young. It's not applicable anymore. It's not logical or scientific or evidence-based to go with a system that is tuned to the needs of Overland Park 40, 50 years ago. You simply do not need to consider this a change to Overland Park. What we want to do is changing the government of Overland Park. It's like you went to your doctor and said your cholesterol is high, and you say, oh, you want to change me? That's a very bad thing you want to do to me. We have to be aware of the challenges that are coming. We are 42 police officers short. We don't have the money to pay for that. Chip seal is in our streets. All of our school districts have bonds on them. Affordability is an issue for the young people who want to live in Overland Park. And we keep handing over tax money to luxury projects. We have to be aware of it. Just, kind of like talking about what with the glory of others is not going to prepare Overland Park for the next 20 years. I am no fan of riding on anybody else's ticket. I am a reformer. I have a plan called Overland Park 2025. We have developed that in consultation with your scientific advisory board. I have pamphlets there for you, and it gives you 3 pillars how to protect and enhance the quality of life for Overland Park. The time for the status quo is over. We need a fresh vision. If the mayor has retired, the policies of this mayor needs to retire with him. Otherwise, we're going to have significant issues coming. We love Overland Park. That's why we want to make it a better city and prepare it for the challenges. That is the only way that we could have real progress. Beyond just, let's keep it that way. That is not going to help us. Our kids need the schools. We don't need bomb on the schools. Thank you very much.
From readers. Let me just set it up a little bit. In 2008, the Vision Metcalf process laid out a comprehensive prescription for modernizing the city central quarter. We're on it right now. It called for the replacement of outdated retail, big shops, entertainment options, parks, and public facilities. At 95th and Metcalf, for example, the plan suggested the construction of the new city hall at one point with adjacent public parks surrounded by mixed-use development. Fast forward to today, there's a Shamrock office tower, a Lowe's, and a proposal for a 164,000 square foot office facility and parking lot on the former Sears site. Over the years, the Planning Commission and City Council have okayed proposals that don't necessarily fit with that original vision, Metcalf vision, often lamenting that fact, but also voting in favor of them. How would you characterize the city's management of the Metcalf Corridor? Do you think it's heading in the right direction? Why?
It was about 3 to 4 years ago, we were reviewing the vision Metcalf. It was 20% done, below 20%. I am amazed that it's being glorified as such a success. Number one. Number two is that 78 districts, the study tells you that these incentives have nothing to do with economic development. And Overland Park is no different than that. Do you guys go to Metcalf, that area, and hang out until 11 a.m. and see a fantastic place that you walk with your family there? Unless I don't live in Overland Park, I don't see that. Yes, a Lowe's were there, is there, fantastic. Are we talking about the success of a city because Lowe's went there? Is that what the philosophy of taxation is? The legitimacy of taxation is to put that dollar back to your pocket and the pocket of your children. The schools, libraries, Johnson County Community College, the officers who are going to come and put water on your house when it's burning, the fire people. So where is that philosophy going if all you talk is a bunch of apartments and some private corporations taking your tax dollars? And one more time, we don't need to separate, facts from each other. 78 districts, I have the study, I presented it to the City Council multiple times. Incentives have no correlation with economic development unless you are blighted. Was Metcalf a blighted area? I moved to this place in 2008. Was it run down? Was it completely nobody wanted to put a cent in? These are all sales pitches. It doesn't exist in reality. The city of Overland Park is a great place. Let's have faith in it. You have addicted developers to ask for tax incentives. Stop injecting hormones in the arms of your athlete. It can compete by itself. Thank you.
And Clay Dorsey. The city has come in for criticism for its handling of the fatal police shooting of teenager John Alvarez in 2018. The officer who shot and killed Alvarez left the force soon after that incident, but it came to light just last year that he was given a $70,000 payout. And as part of his severance deal, the city also agreed to tell the State Police Oversight Board that he left the Overland Park force voluntarily under normal circumstances. The city did not release more details of that severance deal until after it faced multiple lawsuits. We should also say the FBI continues to conduct a civil rights investigation into Alvarez killing. At the same time, some readers question whether the Johnson County officer-involved shooting investigation team, which investigates such matters across the county, whether OSIP, as it's called, is thorough, accurate, and impartial when investigating local law enforcement agencies. I want you to assess how you think the city has handled the Alvarez case. Has the city been as transparent as it can possibly be? And would you change any city policy or procedure in the unfortunate eventuality of another fatal police killing in the future?
We agree with transparency. We agree with that it was not done the right way. The only difference is that I'm the only one who took action on it. And a lot of claims that we see was never there last year. Our heart goes to the family. In July 2020, I was with Councilman Hamlin, another councilman. We were the only two people who were after the fact-finding session on that issue. We are in Kansas City Star, we are in the Hill, and we are in Shawnee Mission Post. We pushed for it. There was resistance. We pushed for it again. I mentioned that I'm not going to go to a closed-door meeting and have a bunch of information on my lap and convinced. I wanted that released. And we got 550 pages released. What kind of transparency is it that two media need to sue you to get information? I'm sure you're gonna hear that they were transparent, that they were not. But the issue is that I am the one who took action. And I never heard from anybody else on this podium that they were in front of the city asking and demanding for transparency. It's just the record. It's out there. You can see it. I go after policymakers. You hear the claims of leadership. The scientific meaning of leadership in the year 2021 is when you change the system. That's why I'm proposing an advisory commission on public safety. Citizens, experts, and our public safety together, politicians out of the way, then we can attend these issues in a scientific manner. So when we talk about transparency, it's not a banner, it's a scientific concept. Therefore, it needs a machinery. I acted when it was needed to act. The information was released, and that's what brought, in my humble opinion, all these investigations. I hope it clarifies the situation. But let's go after the policymakers, the ones that did not give you the facts and change the system. It's not about anybody specific, it's about the system. Thank you.
Claymore. The gravity of Overland Park continues to move southward as more and more of the city's population now resides south of I-435. At the same time, new development continues at pace in the southern wards. The city's long-established neighborhoods north of I-435 are seeing greater need for reinvestment and resources. How can the city best approach the task of balancing the needs of its new growth areas with its original neighborhoods, which are now aging?
Absolutely. So, yes, and any aging city has that. So when you look at the studies there, Harvard has an initiative on housing affordability. One of the pillars of that is that you prevent your neighborhoods from deteriorating. But unfortunately, that's not what we have done because we are too mesmerized handing tax money to luxury apartments. So one of the mechanisms that we should use, and we absolutely should have done that 10 years ago, is to essentially hand over this financial aid to keep neighborhoods in the north from deteriorating. It's a scientific concept. So that's absolutely a necessity, but it was never practiced like that. So we need to cater to those neighborhoods. We need to provide them with, there are multiple mechanisms. There are that city of San Francisco has done, New York City has done, Washington, D.C. has done. We need to study them, but we just left them, and that's inappropriate. Number two is that the development south, okay, 10,000 acres, folks. We have majority of it is south. We have to have a evidence-based approach how we want to zone these 10,000 acres. Yes, we need all different varieties of the accommodations, single family home, we need apartments, we need a smaller, higher density lots as well. But taking a parcel, a golf course next to a residential neighborhood, and allowing that to become 1.5 million square foot of a concrete jungle, tax incentivized is not the way to do it. People have to be able to trust Overland Park when they put their life safety there. We have to have a plan. The master plan of the city is constantly being revised when a high-shot lawyer comes there and makes a case. I can count for you at one case after the other one. The last one, Ranch Mart South, that I worked with the people of that ward, when their own representation, wanting to be the mayor, would not work with them, and they defeated them. So we need a science-based approach based on the will of the people. Folks, it doesn't matter who was here, who wasn't here. It's a democracy, we all compete. But I am the one who has a plan for you. I am a cancer scientist. I don't work on narratives. I work on a specific aim. OP 2025 is there. It has 3 pillars. It gives you the budget to deliver, to enhance city services. It gives you ways to enhance the voice of the people, and it gives you a science operation that makes Overland Park a national model for a evidence-based government. That's what you need. The rest of it is just narratives. Look at who has the plan. Look at who has worked on the data. Are we going to dismiss science? Didn't we see what science did for us in this pandemic? Why can't government be a scientific conversation rather than narratives? I look at everybody's plan, no matter if they were there or if they were not there. The last thing I want to tell to you guys, I am going to suggest term limit for the City of Overland Park City Council. There is no reason that anybody should be in the government for 23 years. You will hear from me. I want to hand it back to you with the term limit. Thank you very much.